Now let's dive into our feature story of the day, and discuss the latest of what's popping. Bitcoin jumps nearly 10% on the news of Bitcoin Strategic Reserve announcement. The market is signaling the USA must pursue a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That's right. Will Trump send Bitcoin to $1 million by adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, or adopting Bitcoin in the U.S. Treasury? Well, let's discuss it, because this is hot. A lot of excitement surrounding this right now. And also, I'm going to be sharing a lot of stuff. I don't even know where to start. Let's actually start with the headline. But first, I'm going to read you tweets, and then we'll get into the story. This person says, the Block Tower Capital CIO, Ari Paul, 10-to-1 odds against U.S. Bitcoin Strategic Reserve by 2028. He's ultimately saying he can see it happening, but he's betting against it. However, there are those more optimistic. And I want to start with the more optimistic bunch first, including Dennis Porter, who recently wrote, breaking, Bitcoin jumps nearly 10% on the news of Bitcoin Strategic Reserve announcement. The market is signaling the U.S. must pursue a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Also in other tweets, Simon Dixon, another OG here at Bitcoin, getting more and more confirmations that these rumors may be true. Trump to announce a U.S. Bitcoin Strategic Reserve in Nashville, Tennessee. This week, next week. I mean, it's right around the corner. Yeah, this coming week. So that would be pretty lit, obviously. That could send Bitcoin easily to 100 Gs, in my opinion. Dennis also wrote, people don't believe the USA could implement a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, but at this point, it is inevitable. And he has been calling it for a very long time. And in other tweets, this influencer wrote, everyone should have a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. You, your family, your business, your city, your state, your country, everyone. Why? It's going up forever. Laura and Melda. He also recently shared, as Bitcoin closes in on becoming a strategic reserve asset in the USA, it is entirely possible that Bitcoin will be well on its way to $1 million per coin. Agreed. If it gets adopted as a strategic reserve asset in the States and game theory plays out as we're anticipating it with the global hash war, that's precisely what's going to happen. $1 million, easy peasy. Let me know your thoughts. He says, that means the $13.5 billion in Bitcoin currently held by the U.S. Marshals will be worth $210 billion. There's 1, 2, 3 commas. I believe that's billion. 210 billion from 13.5 billion. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this prediction by Dennis Porter. He also recently wrote, I've been taking calls with reporters nonstop for the last 24 hours to talk about the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Even the mainstream media is waking up to the potential of Bitcoin. Eventually, the entire world will be pro-Bitcoin. This much is true. It's happening, family. Now, he also wrote, a journalist from a major news outlet called to learn more about my work to get pensions to buy Bitcoin. I find this one interesting. He said, I talked to a lot of skeptics who said it's too risky to add Bitcoin to their pensions. My response, it is in fact riskier not to have Bitcoin in their pension. Preach! What so many people still do not understand about Bitcoin is that it is a non-correlated asset, which essentially means if you add Bitcoin to your portfolio and everything else goes to zero, Bitcoin can still be worth something. That is important to people who hold a lot of wealth. Once someone is wealthy, their goal is to stay wealthy. Facts. And adding Bitcoin to a portfolio is one of the best ways to de-risk a portfolio from going to zero. Real talk. An important metric to pay close attention to here is the Sharpe ratio, which measures risks as compared to potential returns. Adding Bitcoin to a balance sheet improves this number. Think of the Sharpe ratio like this. Imagine two runners in a race. Runner A runs very fast, but often stumbles and falls. High returns, high risks. Then we got runner B, runs a steady pace without stumbling. Moderate returns, low risk. Then we have runner C. Usain Bolt runs super fast and super smooth without breaking a sweat. High returns, low risk. The Sharpe ratio measures how effectively each runner converts their speed into a smooth, consistent run without falling. A higher Sharpe ratio means the runner or the investment is better at turning speed, which is returns, into a steady, safe race of risk-adjusted performance. So the idea is that Bitcoin is Usain Bolt, and although Bitcoin grows quickly, it can do so steadily over the long time horizon while also being uncorrelated to the rest of the market. That type of product is very good for a portfolio. In fact, it is so good that some of the largest asset managers in the world are now telling their clients to add Bitcoin to their portfolios. BlackRock. So in closing, and I hope the journalists I spoke to can see this, despite the fears around Bitcoin, that does not change the truth around its potential to de-risk a portfolio. And it is not just me saying this. It's BlackRock, it's Fidelity, and Vanguard, with BlackRock producing research around this topic. That research, an optimal allocation of at least 9.5% towards Bitcoin, and they have over 10 trillion in assets under management. In fact, I've actually saw one of their research reports from a couple of years ago, which I've covered numerous times on the pod, of recommending 84.9% Bitcoin allocation to their portfolio, or to your portfolio. So imagine if they actually did that, where that would send the Bitcoin price. Yeah, I mean. Now, here's a prediction from the Bitcoin therapist. My 12-month prediction: Trump wins the election. The Fed pivots on interest rates. There is no recession. Bitcoin goes to $250,000 per coin. AI and data centers take off. Bitcoin miners go absolutely insane. And the greatest 4-year bull market in history. Now for some tweets from Max Keiser. I shared yesterday some of the controversy, which all began with Trump making a speech and blaming Bukele for sending El Salvador's worst criminals to America. Quoting Trump here from the actual speech, he's trying to convince everybody what a wonderful job he does in running the country. Well, he doesn't do a wonderful job. So Max naturally took offense to that, and he wrote, "I'd be talking ish too if I just had my ear shut off by the CIA. Trump is wrong as what? Just ask Tucker Carlson. I'm looking forward to July 27th at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. I am sharing a stage with Trump, and I'll set him straight about El Salvador, Bitcoin country. Man, oh man, I cannot wait to hear Max and Stacy's speech. And of course, I can't wait to hear Trump's speech. And again, that's right around the corner. 7 days out, family. Let's go. That'll be next Saturday." Now, he also shared this: "Should be ready when Trump is sworn in. If he has any trouble adapting to the new era of Bitcoin as global reserve currency and the Bitcoin global hash war, simply ask the philosopher king, President Nayib Bukele." And quick shout out to Chandy. She just gifted 5 memberships to the channel. So congratulations, Bobby Digi, Alan David, Mar Very, Jose Cuevo, Kenny G, and the rest of the fam. You've all been hooked up with the MicroStrategy membership of the channel. On behalf of Chandy, so show Chandy some love. Make sure to subscribe to her channel, Chandy 10 Music. But back to our story here. So yeah, Max has been tweeting like a mofo regarding, all of this. I've been sharing a lot of it. He also shared yesterday, Trump was sent by Satoshi, but he needs to make Bitcoin legal tender and get the U.S. into the global hash war, or Satoshi will be angry. So there you go, yo. And now diving deeper into Ari and his prediction regarding 10-to-1 odds that this happens. He wrote word for word, "I'd lay 10-to-1 against the U.S. adding Bitcoin as a strategic reserve in the next 4 years, ultimately by the time of the next halving, which will be in 2028. Bet me now if you're going to make fun of me for being wrong in 4 years. But with that said, plausible to me that Trump might say it, which would be very bullish for Bitcoin medium time frame." And this was off the back of Dennis Porter announcing this on the 18th. Huge breaking. Trump to announce a USA Bitcoin strategic reserve in Nashville. And he wrote, "P.S. This is not a joke. My sources are credible, but I got to give credit first and foremost to Max Keiser, because Max actually shared on the 15th, 3 days before Dennis Porter, that Trump was likely to make some form of announcement at the Nashville event adopting Bitcoin for the United States. So Max gets full credit on that. And so yeah, let's dive into this one. The idea of the United States government holding a Bitcoin strategic reserve may be bullish for the price, but it is unrealistic to actually come to fruition in the near term, at least according to Ari Paul, Chief Information Officer of Block Tower. Again, I already read you word for word what he shared. With that said, plausible me that Trump might say it, which would be very bullish for the medium time frame, he added, amid traders pointing out the struggle that Bitcoin had reclaiming 65,000 as support in the recent times. Well, we blew past that now, didn't we? We're above 67. Paul further explained that while it may be possible that the next president say they don't intend to sell any of the government's current Bitcoin holdings, it doesn't mean they're actually establishing a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Quoting him here, "What counts as a declaration? An off-the-cuff statement by Trump, an executive order? The U.S. government confiscates Bitcoin in an ongoing way already. A strategic reserve is a store of resources kept by governments for emergencies or unexpected events. For example, the U.S. government holds the largest supply of emergency crude oil, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is held to reduce the effects of potential oil supply problems. Paul's comments follow social media speculation that former President Trump may announce plans to designate Bitcoin as a strategic reserve if he wins the election. This announcement is expected during the Bitcoin 2024 conference next week in Nashville. In fact, let me know if you guys are going to be there. And a lot of influencers are very bullish. Vivek wrote here, Bitcoin price if Trump announces a Bitcoin strategic reserve plan for the USA, a $1 million. I know Simon Dixon also very bullish from Bank to the Future. People don't believe the USA could implement a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but at this point, it's inevitable, said Dennis Porter of the Satoshi Act Fund. Everyone should have Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. You, your family, your business, your city, your state, your country. Well said. Satoshi couldn't have said it better himself. It comes after entrepreneur and investor Mark Cuban recently speculated that geopolitically instability and inflationary pressures may propel Bitcoin to become a global reserve asset. And let's never forget, that same man, Mark Cuban, once compared Bitcoin to bananas and said, bananas are more valuable. They have more intrinsic value than Bitcoin. He was actually one of the biggest Bitcoin haters. Even he is coming around. I mean, the writing is on the wall. But what are your thoughts? Do you think if Trump really did adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender or as a strategic treasury reserve or a strategic reserve asset, some way, somehow implemented Bitcoin into the United States, how do you think that would impact the global market as far as Bitcoin and the rest of the world as game theory continues playing out in real time? Let me know your thoughts. And do you think Trump will make that announcement at the conference? And let me know if you're going to be there. And I'm looking forward to that. So you already know.